Hello,
all
all
you
you
geeks
geeks
out
out
there.
there.
Welcome back to our board game journey.
I'm Austin,
And I'm Susan, and
and
we
we
are
are
geeks.
geeks.
Dooba dooba doo. This is episode 3 of this series, so if you haven't watched the first two, we highly recommend it. We have both been very excited for this day because today we're talking about our theme for our board game.
Yay!
Yay! But before we get to the fun part, if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Alright, Austin, are you ready for the big reveal?
I was born ready.
Alright, give me a drum roll, please. Our theme is going to be...
Elephants,
No,
crocodiles,
no,
ants.
no! It's the story of the youth who went forth to know what fear was!
Okay, we get it. You guys don't know the story of the youth who went forth to learn what fear was. But that's alright. The story's kinda dumb. It even says so. And that's because the story starts out with two brothers. The first brother is intelligent, he's smart, he's kind of like the brother who was better than you in every single way. Wow, we're kind of touching on some childhood trauma there, aren't we?
Just a little bit.
Anyway, he was better at everything except one thing. He was a bit of a scaredy cat. The other brother, he was kind of dumb.
No, not kind of. Very dumb.
The only thing he had going for him is he had no idea how to shudder. So he would be sent on all the chores that the other brother was too afraid to do, like going out in the dark to fetch some water, or chopping firewood in the dark, or anything in the dark really. As they grew older, the father eventually came up to this dumber brother and asked him, "What would you like to do when you grow up?" And the boy goes, "I would like to learn how to shudder, father." And the father thought that was kind of dumb. So the boy sets out on this journey to learn how to shudder. And in this journey, he stumbles upon many circumstances which most people would consider to be dangerous, scary, and would probably run away from and call the cops. An example of this is when he went forth and saw a bunch of hanged men. That's right, Susan, right?
Well, a man actually bet that he couldn't stay the night there, trying to get his coin. So he just went and sat under the tree where the hanged men were.
He did?
Yeah,
Hmm.
he started a fire and everything, and he was just sitting there. And he got a little lonely though, sitting by the fire all by himself. So he looks up at those hanging men and he thinks they look a little cold.
He didn't.
He did. He climbed that tree and he cut the rope that were holding those men up. They fell to the ground, and when he got to the ground after cutting all three men loose, he propped them up right next to the fire to keep them warm.
Are you kidding me?
No, he's that dumb, guys.
Well, how did that go?
Well, it was all right for a couple minutes, but then one man fell into the fire and he caught on fire. So the youth propped him up, of course, because it's not fun to be lit on fire. But after propping him up, another one fell into the fire. And
Well,
he kept going, and they all kept falling into the fire, which is very rude to fall into this nicely made fire. So, getting fed up with these three very dead men, he put them back up in the tree.
you've gotta be kidding me.
He dragged them back up the tree and tied them by their ropes back up in the branches and then climbed back down and sat next to the fire the rest of the night.
After that story, you're probably realizing that this kid is really kinda dumb. And after the guy returned, he was probably thinking the same thing. But he told him about a bet the king had, or I guess a proclamation really that the king had sent out, that whoever could spend 3 nights in this haunted house may have the hand of his daughter in marriage.
Seriously?
I know, right?
His daughter?
He was probably trying to make sure nobody had the hand, but they had not met this kid yet. So he goes to this haunted house, hoping to finally know how to shudder, and he sat there for 3 days.
And he encountered a lot of terrifying monsters.
And he never learned how to shudder.
Yeah.
And at the end of the third night, he walks out to get married to this lovely princess. And over time, this princess slowly starts to get fed up with her husband because he keeps on complaining. Oh, if only I knew how to shudder. I mean, it's like he doesn't even care. He's rich. He's married to a beautiful princess. I mean, come on, guys.
How ungrateful of him, you know?
And she just keeps getting so fed up. So she finally says, okay, maid, fetch me a pail of water with fish. So the maid goes out and fetches it, puts it at the base of his bed, and when he climbs into the bed at night, he fills the pail of fish, and he goes, oh, and jumps out of bed. And he goes, I finally knew how to shudder.
And they lived happily ever after. Like, I'm pretty sure he fell in love with his wife after that, right?
Yeah.
The moral of this story is, be afraid of your wife. She knows how to scare you.
I don't feel safe. No.
That was a pretty dumb story, right?
Yep.
Well, that's actually one of my favorite Grimm's fairy tales out there. And when we picked that as our theme for our board game, we decided we didn't want to follow that story completely. We wanted to be able to take out certain things and put in other aspects to make it more of a playable game for you guys. And this is the story that we came up with.
It all starts with the prince who knew no fear. One day, he decided to take his army to the base of a mountain, at the top of which a dragon resided, with great hoards of treasures and many bones from heroes who had previously tried to kill this dragon. Instead of taking his army up with him, he set them to camp at the base of the mountain and went up alone to slay this dragon.
Seriously?
I know, right?
He left his whole army behind?
And to fight a dragon which was already proven to kill many heroes.
Yeah, that's not smart.
So he climbs to the top of the mountain, climbing up cliffs and probably almost falling off. As he makes it up to fight the dragon, well, he actually does slay the dragon. But in the process of which, he finds himself getting knocked off one of those very same cliffs he climbed up, grievously injuring himself to the point where he may have died if it weren't for a few scouts who saw his fall and who rescued him.
You mean he didn't die?
No, he didn't.
What?
But he was close.
Well, the prince actually has a couple of these stories under his belt where he would run into situations and not think clearly and then get injured somehow. And the king was hearing these stories from all around his kingdom, and he was starting to get worried because the prince is his only son and the only heir to the throne. And if the prince keeps acting the way he does, the king is thinking he might outlive his son, which is not good. So, the king sent out a proclamation to his whole kingdom that if any fair maiden could scare the prince and stop his useless, dangerous quests, he would give that maiden his son's hand in marriage. And the king's kind of killing two birds with one stone with this, because number one, he gets his son back from doing these dangerous quests. And secondly, he gets a daughter-in-law that will ensure that his family line continues with hopefully a newborn son. With this newly revised story, this is what our game is going to look like. You will be playing as a fair maiden from the kingdom, and you will have 3 nights to find the most gruesome, disgusting monsters and put them into a house for them to haunt. And each night, the prince will go through the house, and you will collect fear points by how much they scare the prince. And by the end of those 3 nights, whoever has the most fear collected, they will get to marry the prince at the end of the game.
Well, that's our themes. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always,
Thanks for watching.
Geeks out!